Global Shout is excited to launch GS Connect, a platform that has been developed to connect refugees in need of support with volunteers who are able and willing to help them. I'm going to provide a quick walkthrough of the application today to help familiarize those who are going to be using the application to help to make those connections happen. I'm going to start the demo today by walking through what it's going to look like from the refugee side. When you first go to the URL, gsconnect.globalshout.org, you're going to be presented with two buttons. You can become a volunteer or you can request help. There is the ability to change the language if there is a need for that. We're first going to click the button, Request Help. From there, you're going to be presented with a registration form, which has a lot of typical information you might see on forms similar to this, such as your name, your address, your phone number, contact information, so on and so forth. Now, for time's sake, I'm going to go ahead and actually just log into the application. You're going to be presented this screen. Now, I've created one request previously, but let me walk you through what that's going to look like to create a request from scratch. There are two tabs here at the top. There's the Request tab and the Me tab. If you click on the Me tab, that's going to be all the information that you filled out on the registration form being filled in. You can go ahead and update this if your address changes, your phone number, any of that information. You also have the ability to change the different notifications that you receive. So you can receive text notifications, so that's going to send an actual message to your cell phone. You can also have email notifications and push notifications, which are notifications in the application itself. Now, if they're pushed over to the right-hand side, that means they're on. If they're more grayed out, that means they're turned off. But for now, I'm going to leave them all on. So from here, I'm going to go back to the Request tab and actually request a need for help for some item or some support. I click the button Request Help, and that's where you're going to see a form. From here, you're going to name the actual title of the request. Let's say I'm just going to say soccer ball requested. Describe your need. A child, age 7. Whatever that may be. All your information from your email address, your phone number, all that is getting pulled in from, again, your profile. So if there is a need for any of these to be changed, they are locked on this form itself, but you can go back to that Me tab that I showed a minute ago and actually update that one. The type of assistance you're requesting, this is going to be a good. You can choose where you actually need the item to be delivered. Now, please note that sometimes why we make this optional is maybe you need for some consultation or some support, some advice, maybe a video virtual conference, something like that. And that's why we make this actually optional, as it's not always needed. But in this case, obviously a soccer ball, you're going to need to know where to deliver it to. Fill out the information. And you can say when you actually need this to be completed by. Now, of course, this is an estimate. It's not guaranteed. Obviously, we need to have a volunteer fill it, and they'll see this, and we'll bring this up in a few minutes as well from their side of it to select a specific date. So in my case, I'm going to say, hey, I need it in 2 days. You can provide any comments. If there is a need, that's an open field, so it's really a text, whatever you might want to put into it. For a boy, I'm just going to say in this case. So maybe, hey, there's different ones at the store, and maybe they have different looks for whatever reason or something like that. So you can go ahead, click on the Submit a Request, and that is now launched into the system. Now you can see here that this request has not been assigned to anybody, and that's because no volunteer has obviously picked this up at this time. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and log out, and I'm going to log in now as a volunteer of the application. So this is somebody who is in the community who's wanting to help the refugees in need. So most of the form is going to be very similar. Again, name, address, all those different fields, but there are a couple of different ones at the bottom that are going to be a little bit specific to the volunteer side. First of all, we're just asking if you've actually worked with Global Shout before, if you have any specific needs. So we have a couple of fields listed there, but again, if you have other, you can select that and then provide whatever skill set that may be. There is obviously the potential that you are going to be interacting with children depending on what your volunteer task is. And so we do ask just a little bit of information of your criminal history. And then again, if you do have a criminal record for any reason, you can select yes, and then you do have can actually explain what that is, and the staff at Global Shout will make a determination if it makes sense for you to help with the volunteer effort or not. You can provide your occupation, confirming that you're 18 years old or over. You can review the volunteer code of conduct and make sure you just accept that one. And this last one, the GDPR, that's really basically saying that all the information on this form is going to be stored in the application and you're okay with that. And so from similar to the last one, just for time's sake, let me go ahead and actually have an account already set up. So let me log in there. So after you log in as a volunteer, you're going to be able to see the different requests that have come into the system so far. So the one of them here, this one's already closed out, so obviously there's not a need by that one. It is still shown here again because this is actually a request that was completed by this user. But let's just say I see the new one that we created a few minutes ago, the soccer ball requested. Now I can go ahead and click on that one, and that's going to pull up all the information that the refugee filled out on it. So it's going to be the title, a little bit of information of where generally it's going to be delivered, and you can select the kind of when you think you complete the task. Now, please note that on the delivery location, it's going to provide the city, state, and zip code, but is not providing a specific location of where you're actually supposed to deliver the object. Or complete the task. Now, the reason for that is before that interaction actually happens, we need to have one of the admins at Global Shout go in and make sure that they approve the request. And again, there might be a need that, hey, maybe we want you to actually come as a volunteer and drop off the soccer ball at, for example, the Global Shout office, and not actually go to the person's home address or something like that. So we have that. There's kind of a couple of rules set into place. That being said, you know generally where you're going to deliver it to. You want to say when you expect it can be completed by. So the refugee said, hey, I would like it by the 26th. Let's just say, yep, that sounds fine, shouldn't be a problem. And you also select the 26th. So you need from there, you request the assignment, and it's now sent off again, as I mentioned a minute ago, to the Global Shout staff to actually go ahead and approve it. So let me quickly go ahead and actually log in from their side. So before I do that, let me just point out here, you can see it's pending approval. So make sure you don't run out in this case buy a soccer ball quite yet. You want to make sure that you actually have approval of that before that happens. So I'm going to log in another time here, this time as an admin. Okay, and so when I log in here, I'm going to go onto the request side, and you'll see that the soccer ball has a pending approval. So you can quickly see that yes, that somebody has requested to be assigned to it, but no, we've not actually approved that yet. There is ability, again, as we're getting a lot of requests, there's obviously not too many in the system right now. There is the ability to kind of filter up here. You can go in, you can type in the search bar, you can filter them out that way. Lots of different ways to go through the different information as more and more gets populated here. So from here, I'm just going to click on the soccer ball. Again, you can just review the information. The Global Shout Out staff, a lot of times they've worked with a lot of these folks before, so they're going to say, yep, that looks like a valid information. As I mentioned before, if there is, for example, a need to change it to the Global Shout office, they can quickly come in here and just say, yep, we'd like this done, but only, actually bring it to the Shout office, so on and so forth. But from there, they're going to look at it and say, yep, looks great. Let's go ahead and approve this assignment. So you click on the approve the assignment. And at this point, if you actually see the request here, you can see that it's in progress. And along the way, you can also click on, you can see on the notification, these are the push notifications that are saying that's where it is. At this point, the actual volunteer is also going to receive notification via email and or text, assuming they have those functionalities turned on, that they should go ahead and complete the task that they volunteered to complete. So let me just go ahead and log in as a volunteer to show kind of what that's going to look like real quick. So when I log in here, you can see that the soccer ball has been requested. It's currently in progress. And now as the volunteer, I can actually click on it and see, you'll be able to see the specific delivery location. So in this case, it's 123 ABC. So you know exactly where you're supposed to bring that product or the item or complete the task that you've been assigned. And so at this point, you can go out, you can complete it, and then when you're done, you come in here and just make sure you close it out. Close it out, click on the update button, and at this point, you'll see that the status has been changed to closed. Now, the other side of it is obviously that the refugee wants to know, hey, where is this in progress? So I haven't been following that obviously the entire time here since it's been clicking between the 3 different views, but let me just log back in there real quick. You can see here on the right-hand side, they've been receiving these different notifications along the way. The first one is that their task they requested has actually been assigned, and then the second one here was that it was completed. So again, they'll obviously get these along the way if they were logged into this view. They can click on, for example, the soccer ball request that we've been following along here, and there is one last part that, again, not absolutely required, but it does help to improve kind of the Global Shout community at large. You can come in here and give them a star rating. So again, how was the experience with this specific volunteer? So let me give, I'll just say like a 4 stars. You can provide comments, maybe delivered a day late. Again, open text field, so kind of update it as you need, as you see fit. You click update, and at this point, that information is going to be provided to the admin. So again, whatever feedback you provide, that's only going to the admin. Don't think that's going to the volunteer, and they're going to be able to go in and actually see that. So again, we want honest feedback to help out the community at large. So overall, that's what this new GS Connect platform is all about. Hopefully relatively intuitive, and it will help to make the whole, kind of the Global Shout community have a little bit larger of an impact and help to fulfill the requests of the refugees and connect them quicker and more efficiently with volunteers that are in the community and willing to help them.